So today we'll be covering 24.2 and all that came with that. And as always, we'll be given a little bit of a peek on what we're working on. So leading us here today is our founder and CEO, Piotr Kononov. And we also have Richard Monk, who is our data success manager, who I believe most of you looking in here has been able to meet. And if you haven't, hopefully you'll take advantage of that. Chase Summers, I'm our director of customer operations, and I'll just be the host today, but I'll be handing it over to Piotr in a moment and letting him run through things. So as for what we'll be covering, so we do have an announcement to kick things off, and then we'll be going into 24.2 and showing you what's new there. Some of you may have already kicked off the new release and gotten it into your environment, but if not, you can always schedule with our support team to work through that upgrade and installation. We'll also be covering what's under development, so give you a look at the roadmap and things that we're working on, and as always, wrap up with a Q&A. And from there, Piotr, I'll hand it off to you and let things get started.
Okay, thanks, Chase. Okay, so let's get started with the announcement. A lot of you know already because we announced it on one of our Dataedo talks, but since this is more formal occasion, I'd like to repeat that. We are planning to move with our functionality to the portal and stop. Well, it says the decommissioning of desktop. It's more like stopping developing new functionalities, except the ones related to importing and maybe profiling, and yeah, focusing and presenting to especially new customers only the portal. For all you who are using desktop and like desktop, will probably keep allow you use that. Some of the functionalities which were not finished might disappear from the desktop, and we want our users to use more and more of web. Okay, I hope no surprises there. Okay, let's have a look at what's been added to the product in our last release, 24.2. Okay, so the biggest update was the scheduler. The scheduler is the system where you schedule tasks in the repository. So there's one central schedule of the tasks. You can manage it and view it in desktop. There's an icon scheduler in the ribbon, so go ahead and click it, and you have to install Dataedo agents. Agent is the UI-less version of desktop, and those agents will be performing the imports. Right now, you can add one. So one agent is performing task. In the future, we want to provide capability of multiple agents being able to work concurrently. Yeah, so that's that. It's a very convenient way to make sure all your sources are imported and up to date. You can schedule import of the metadata and also profiling. Over here, you can see there are two columns. You can see right away on the main dashboard which data sources have scheduled tasks, and you can schedule them to execute every day, weekly, and so on. Pretty basic solution there. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We continue to develop workflows. So in previous release, you might have noticed that we added status field, native status field for all of the manual objects, such as glossary entries, lookups, domains, and so on. You were able to select those one of the status for each object. And right now we extended that functionality to limit access to specific roles. Here's the definition of the workflow. You can see statuses here, and you can see who can set this role, set the status based on a role in the catalog, or based on the custom field. So, for instance, owner could only execute some tasks, and also user groups. And over here you can see who the task is assigned to in this status. So objects in review are assigned to approver, and this appears on the Steward in the Steward hub on the main dashboard as list on the list of things to do. Right. So there's a for instance terms for review section, and every approver has a list of those objects. So yeah, you can implement an approval workflow. You can another change is that there some of the statuses are not visible for the viewers. Over here you can see that there's only published objects are visible. So you can also implement creating drafts of objects which are not published, and only after approval they are visible to viewers. There's one thing you have to be aware of, that when you upgrade and you have set some items into a status which is not visible, those objects will disappear from the viewers. Viewers will no longer be able to access it. You would have to then change the definition or change the status of the object. Definition of the workflow, that is. In the future, we'll be extending more this to other object types, also those imported from the sources, which will allow you to publish consciously specific objects, right? So, for instance, you import the source and not all the tables or procedures are visible, then you would have to change the status to published. Okay, and data lineage, as usual, we added a lot of improvements for the data lineage diagrams in the portal. It's for those of you who haven't installed the portal. It's heavily advised that you do that. One of the reasons is those really useful diagrams, which are much more powerful than the desktop ones. So in this version, we added details of the particular flow. So if you click on this line that goes from one table to another, there's a pane on the right. You can see the details of that, and even a script, if it was provided, it's automatically imported for views, for instance, and stored procedures, and from some ETL and BI tools also, if it's the flow is based on SQL. We also added the data lineage diagram for on the column level. Previously, it was available on the object levels only. Right now, when you see a column, there's also a data lineage tab, and then you also can browse the same diagram for the context of this particular column. In the next release, we'd like to add data source level diagram, so we can see in a similar way which sources are exchanging data. So, for instance, which BI tools read from which databases. We've added a full screen mode to make it easier to browse and analyze the lineage. There are two buttons over here, two icons. One expands the view within the application, and the other one goes into full screen, so you only see the lineage diagram on the screen. We also linked, embedded those diagrams into desktop. Over here you can see desktop interface, and within it's a diagram from the portal. To be able to access that, you have to link connect desktop with web. You do it in the web. In the settings, you provide a URL of the URL of the web, and then when you open it in desktop, you'll be asked to log in. We have been collecting the data profiling data for a while now. So, I mean, data profiling has been in Dataedo for 2 years or 3 years. But for at least a year, we are collecting the history. So each time you make a profiling, we save a like a log of the particular run, and it's now available in the web. So you can see it's visible on the same tab. If you scroll down, there's a history section, and you can see in the chart format and in tabular format how the data changed in every particular run. In this case, I'm profiling with the scheduler. I'm profiling on our database every day, and I can see, how the specific metrics changed over time. Pretty useful, I would say. We have built in a new classification. It's Canadian PPEDA. If you have any other regulations that you think would be useful, let us know. We can build it for you, and it's good to remember that you can always modify every classification that's in Dataedo or build a completely new one from scratch. We're constantly improving the imports. In every release, we rebuild it, and we fix performance and UX. And in this version, we have changed the way you define the scope of the import. So till now, you had to define those advanced filters, provide masks of the names of the objects and schemas. That was not the most convenient way. So we rebuild it so that now when you connect, we list schemas and object types. As you can see, there are also counters, which is very convenient because you can see which objects, which schemas have what kind of objects. Then you can select what do you want to import, and that's your definition. It's much easier to select particular schemas than the previous solution. And also it's much faster because previously we were reading all the objects to the UI, so you can unselect particular objects. We don't believe it's a very useful feature. Selecting schemas is much more convenient, and it's much faster now. So you just wait a couple of seconds and for this screen, then click next, and the import is executed immediately. So it's much faster and much more convenient. If you'd like to exclude specific objects, after import, you can always delete, using desktop, delete particular object. It will be ignored from future imports. Okay. We are building a number of dashboards for stewards, admins, and so on, and we have provided the first one. It's visible in the dashboard section in the main menu. This is a usage dashboard, so you can see here what was the usage of desktop and web. On top, it's a monthly chart, and below you see the top users. You would select the time frame and then see who was the heaviest user in this specific time. We are now building a lot more dashboards, and we are building an engine that will allow you in the future to configure, change, and build your own dashboards. In every release, we're also extending the functionality of Steward Hub. Steward Hub is this place currently in desktop, but we are majority of the functionality is in desktop, but we're migrating it to the web. This is the place where we show stewards the tasks they have and the progress of their work. So we create a number of suggestions for the metadata that our built-in rules, with our built-in rules, we think you might want to create some objects in the documentation. So examples are creation of specific objects, such as we suggest you creating terms based on the column names and field names in your reports. And also Steward Hub this is the place where you see your tasks from the workflow. So it's like the central place for your stewards to see their work. And in this version, we've added a list of objects with unassigned domains and unassigned owners and other roles. Those owners are custom fields with the type of user, and so we show you a progress of this for every field of that type. So we can create, data owner, data steward, subject matter expert, and so on. And this will show you the progress of what objects have assigned that field, and it will give an UI like over here to assign to filter and assign specific owner. This is in desktop, but from now on we are migrating everything, and all the new features will be added in the portal only. And so let's say by the end of the year, I would like us to have migrated all the functionalities and added a lot more functionalities to the Steward Hub that will suggest you also links, so link terms to data, data to domains, and so on. Oh, and also we show you the data sets such as tables that do not have a primary key, and we suggest, I believe we also suggest the primary key, and you can assign that primary key with the dropdown. We're constantly improving UI, and in this version we have added a new table layout. There's pagination, sorting, and option to filter by a particular field for specific column. We'll be doing a lot of work in UI in near future. We're doing a lot of design currently, so there will be a lot of positive changes in the upcoming months. This is a long-awaited one, public API. We provided the first scope of the API functionality. Under this link, there's the documentation, and in this chart, it's also visible in it's also available in the documentation. Shows the progress of the endpoints that we provided. The green tick boxes is the one that are available, and the blue soon labels are the endpoints we will be implementing soon. If there's something you would like to use in the future, if that's not there, please let us know. Feedback is very important, because we did it to according to what we thought would be useful. So basically, like reading, updating data for main objects, but there might be some other functionalities that you'd like and you don't see it here. So feedback is greatly appreciated. As usual, we have added a number of new connectors. I see there is a question regarding API. Is there a demo of the use of the APIs, like an application? No, I don't think there is, but it's a basic REST API with functions like read and update. Richard?
Yeah, I will be creating a tutorial video for the API. I have not got that finished yet. So that is forthcoming, and there will be an announcement when it comes out.
Back to the connectors. So we created another BI connector, and it's quite advanced already with the column level lineage, as you can see here. ClickSense Cloud. We're also working on ClickSense on-prem. These are two completely different technologies, just like with Power BI. Yeah, if you have cloud, you can already try with this version. If you have a click on-prem, it's coming probably with next release. Okay. Speaking of APIs, this one also was requested a lot. A lot of you would like to document APIs, right? The APIs are also source and destination of the data. So we found a way how to do it, and we allow you to document your REST APIs, uploading the OpenAPI Swagger JSON file. Most of the REST APIs are documented automatically with this technology. It was previously called Swagger. Now it's called OpenAPI. Most of the APIs have this file. However, not all of them are shared publicly. But if you search, you can find a lot of them on GitHub or somewhere. Maybe you can ask a vendor to provide it for you. This is the source file from which all of the nice HTML documentations online are generated. So every developer, API developer, should have this file. As I said, it might not be available for you, but if you have this file, you just simply upload it, and we import endpoints as currently as tables. It will be changed into there will be a separate object type, and you can see that the requests and responses are presented in a hierarchy of columns. In the future, we'll like to present it also in a bit more like it's usually presented. Geoff, yes.
Yes.
We are recording that. I hope the rest can hear me well.
Yeah, everything sounds fine on my side, Piotr, so it may just be Jeff.
Okay, good.
Another question from Alexander on API as well.
Yeah, can you add functionality where you can add to the catalog an API directly from URL? That's a good question. Do you mean URL of the OpenAPI JSON file or endpoint? The latter is not possible. And the JSON, I don't know, maybe it already is. I'm not sure. You can definitely upload from disk, but I don't know if you can upload from URL. Do you have any something else in mind? Okay, so you already tested it. Okay, that's a good feedback. We can add that. That's probably not difficult. Yeah, good feedback. We have provided a connector for Apache Atlas. This is a data catalog from open source data catalog from Apache, and there are at least two commercial catalogs that are based on that. One is Azure Purview, and the other is Cloudera. This connector is doesn't allow, I think, connect you to the other ones. They have some small details, connectivity details different. We'll be providing connectors to these in the near future. The benefit of connecting from catalog to catalog is that Dataedo provides a capability to document much wider scope of the metadata, and Apache Atlas does what it's supposed. What was built for best, and that is documentation of Hadoop environments. So you could catalog, and it's much more technical tool. So you can have both. Similar with Azure, Azure could document, catalog what's in Azure. Although I think we support all of that and some even better than Azure. And then you could import it to Dataedo. So on an ongoing manner. Another BI tool, this is an Amazon quick site. So if you're using that, you can document full end-to-end column level lineage. Oracle eBusiness Suite is an ERP application from Oracle. It's a very large application. If your company uses Oracle Business Suite, it also runs on Oracle, but it's much better than regular Oracle connector, because eBusiness Suite has a extra layer of metadata where they hold descriptions and relationships between tables. So this uses the metadata from the database and from this additional data dictionary. So if you're using that, you can connect the source of the data in your data warehouse as well. And as always, we are upgrading the connectors, the main connectors. So for Snowflake, we are now importing tasks and jobs, and dynamic tables and materialized views. For SSIS, we now connect the OptDBC connection and SQL Server destination. So with those ETLs, there are so many ways to define the sources, destinations, and transformations that we cannot support everything from day one. So we, build the core functionalities and add more cases as we learn and as we get your feedback. So it's very important for us to get your feedback. What lineage was not created, because there are very different configurations in your environment. So it's really hard for us to, even from the perspective of the time we can spend on it to implement everything, but we improve those connectors every release. So if you have something that was not built automatically, reach out to Richard, and he will try to figure out if it's already implemented, and if not, he will pass it to us, to our team, to work on more on the connectors. For SSIS Tabular, we are all now importing Tabular 2017, and we are able to build lineage based on Power Query. I believe this technology can be used for other Microsoft technologies, so other tools that use Power Query. I believe Power BI also allows you to use Power Query. We will be able to build lineage. Speaking of Power BI, the screenshots is not correct. It's a big change. If you're using Power BI, when you upgrade, you'll see a big change. We split data sets into two different types of objects. So data set and data set tables. So all those tables in a data set will be a separate objects. Right now, they will in the same folder. We'll split those folders apart in the future. It will be should be more it provide better visibility for the data lineage diagrams, and also in the future we'd also like to add option to view the diagram of the data set. So when you click on the data set, there will be a diagram section, the diagram tab, and you will be able to see all the tables of the data set and the relationships between them if they were defined in the data set. So I think it's a move in the right direction, increased visibility. Is similar as we did for Tableau. For Azure Data Factory and Synapse pipelines, data sets are no longer shown on the data lineage diagrams. Honestly, I don't really know the meaning of that particular change. If you're using that, maybe that means something to you. We are also building a lineage from the runtime, so we are not only looking at the static definition of what we can see in, on user interface. We also scan the logs and see what actual flows were created. So many times those flows are pipelines are run dynamically, so the list of tables is provided in the runtime from a separate data set. So we're now able to read that and build lineage for that as well. And we also enhanced the loop activity, the presentation of that. All right, so that was an overview of the key functionalities we have changed. That doesn't cover everything. We in our release build a lot of new functionalities and improvements. Let's have a look at the key things we're working on. There's a lot we want to build. This is an overview of the most important ones. So the biggest one would be data quality module. That would be a new module that is related to data profiling, but the difference between data profiling and data quality is that data profiling tells you what data looks like without saying if it's good or bad. Rules allow you to define what's expected. So here are some examples of the rules that you will be able to define. So a table column should be unique, should be not null or not empty. What's the minimum and maximum value for column, or there is a specific pattern it should follow. So the rules have an outcome correct, like pass or fail, and assign statistics to how many rows passed and how many failed. And we'll be suggesting those rules for you, but the final word will be up to the steward. So Dataedo will have a collection of rules for fields and for tables, and we'll be running those rules from the scheduler and collecting the results in the repository. So there will be two types of dashboards. One will be more operational, where you will, stewards, data custodians will be monitoring recent issues, right? The areas of the data quality errors they should focus on, and there will be more analytical, high level with information of which areas in data require attention, what are the trends of the quality, and what's the progress on building of the catalog of those rules. We'd like to have the first version of that by the end of the year, and that will be heavily developed next year. So we'd like to have a really robust data quality software. Another functionality which is very useful and comes in the next release is BI report usage stats. So what reports are used and how often by what users. We'll add it for Power BI, Tableau, and probably ClickSense as well. That would be collected as you import, so you should, like with other sources, schedule it ideally every day. We'll be collecting that history in the catalog and showing you a couple of levels. So for the report, you'll see usage dashboard similar like this. This is the one from Power BI from internally. We'll also show you which reports are used and which are not, so we can maybe remove or hide the ones that are not used, or maybe promote them more. It will also help you to focus with the cataloging efforts and documentation efforts, data lineage building on the most used assets. We'd like to do something similar for the tables. It's a bit trickier because databases do not collect these stats, but there are stats like when the table was updated, but how many users, depending on the engine. We'd like to build some kind of generic usage score for every asset, if it's possible for the source. Not all the sources allow that, but basically we could give from 0 to 5 how much used something is, and that will help you focus on the most used objects. Dashboards, as I mentioned, we are building the engine, and a lot more dashboards on that engine. In next release, we'll have more than one dashboard. The engine that will allow you to create your own dashboards will not be in the next release. The soonest it will be by the end of the year. Next release is planned for the autumn, and the next one for the winter. In sometime next year, we'd like to try allowing the dashboards to run on other sources, not just repository, which means you will be able to embed, show with Dataedo not just the metadata, but also some KPIs and some reports, reporting on your business. So another different direction our product is developing into. We're currently working on the following connectors. Sub-business objects, it's a enterprise business intelligence tool. Did some R&D, and then it seems we'll be able to add the connector for that. Fivetran, there will be 2 stages. In stage 1, we will show you, you will have to import the source and destination first. So just like with any other ETL in Dataedo, you have to import them separately. So for instance, you're reading from Salesforce into Snowflake, then you import those first, and then we build a column level lineage automatically. In stage 2, which I don't know when will be provided, if the source is some kind of API which we don't support, we will also be able to document the source automatically. I mentioned we're working on ClickSense on-prem as well, and the 2 catalogs, Cloudera and Purview. Another one is Open Lineage. It's a generic connector which will be able to consume a new standard for documenting Open Lineage. This is an initiative some of the vendors like Google are supporting with their tools. It's a standard way to share information about lineage. So the platforms will be sending us the metadata, which will be consuming and building lineage in a push rather than pull manner. And the 2 data modeling tools, Enterprise Architect and Erwin. If you're designing with one of these, you'll be also able to import it to catalog, and that would be we have to figure out the way to connect the physical data with this with the model, and that will allow you to see the lineage to go back even to your data model from one of those modeling tools. If you use other modeling tool and like to see that, let us know. We will try to import that as well. Yeah, so you could build yet another layer of your metadata into one catalog and one lineage. And we are also, as always, constantly improving connectors that are used mostly by all of you. So here's the list of the connectors we are planning to add improvements for. Yeah, and that's it. One other thing I didn't mention is we're improving the import significantly. So there's a package of upgrades which are coming maybe in next release or maybe by the end of the year, the package will include importing from the web, better management of credentials. So if you have a login and password, it will be saved once, and we'll also like to allow connection to some kind of credential vault. I don't know. We did some research, but something that will store that outside of our platform, and the option to import multiple databases at once. That's a big one, and we'd like to build a like a new generation of the import. I see there's a question regarding connector DPT. I think we have both.
Yeah, I can send documentation.
Geoff asked, all connectivity will be based in future and not desktop in web. Desktop will still have connection because under the hood, the web also reads from desktop. So importing and scheduling will be in both. I'm pretty sure about that. So desktop will be able to define connections and perform imports in the future. Oh, the question is, do you need a desktop to administer? No, the idea is not to be required to have the desktop. So there will be a component underneath, but that's a technical detail. But ideally, the plan is so you can operate everything from the web. That's the plan. Okay, Alexander suggested FME-ETL, never heard of that, ArcGIS, and SharePoint lists. I did the research of SharePoint lists, and that shouldn't be too difficult. This is the first time I heard someone mention it, so good to have upvote on that. Modu asked if we'll have desktop, but not with all the features. So we're not current. So we won't be adding new features. We don't have a specific plan to cut features from desktop. Probably we'll hide some because, for instance, Steward Hub, we're not planning to develop that. It's not really finished. Might make sense to remove it from desktop. Probably browsing the catalog and building glossary will remain there because it's pretty mature. So still not determined. Do you mean SharePoint? But you mean SharePoint lists, right? Not just. I don't know what other, because you can maybe save some kind of files to SharePoint, right?
SharePoint lists.
Is there an option that Dataedo suggests connection of database fields to the business glossary? That's planned. I hope in next release, and also other links like glossary to domains and data elements to domains. That's the plan. Victor asked, correct me if I'm wrong, to create user, we must use desktop. How will the process to update users? I mean, I don't think you have to. Richard might know better. There's an option to connect to Active Directory or SAML, which creates users automatically, and assigns group.
There we go. Yeah, you can configure Portal so that it will automatically create new users when people sign in the first time based on your Active Directory or single sign-on, different options there. or you can create those users manually if you need to. For example, a person who you will be authenticating on a SQL Server authentication or something like that. The Dataedo licenses, of course, are managed through the account page right now. So there's a bit of work that has to happen there to coordinate those two separate license types or authentication types, but it's not difficult. The stuff on the portal side, of course, all that Active Directory and single sign-on is more focused towards your viewer users, not your editors.
So yeah, but in short, in future, we'd like to be able, I mean, for you to be able to use web only, right? So that's the long-term plan, right? So you don't have to use desktop. We don't want to take away desktop if you like it, right? Maybe some functionalities will disappear. Like I believe, Steward Hub, which is not finished, right? But the features which are mature, I say, if it's not broken, then we will leave it. Moving on. Data quality rule, is this a set date for it? So as I said, the end of the year, so in 2 releases, we'd like to have a version 1 with a couple of rules. So the data catalog, the quality catalog will consist of number of rules. We'll be adding them as we go, as we learn. We'll add some kind of custom SQL rules, so to give you flexibility. So yeah. Watch out for that near the end of the year. Yeah, and also data quality. Chase, maybe a little bit about the licensing, because it will not be available for everyone, every license.
Correct. Yeah, you would have to have your current license. So the Dataedo plan, which you'll see on our website. Some people purchase at a cheaper price, and you'll be, legacy will cover into that. But if you aren't on the current Dataedo subscription, it's worth having a conversation with our team. I know we'll have information on the last slide here, but Jonathan at Dataedo is your best contact to reach out for that. And then we also, you can always go to our website if you'd like to discuss. But for legacy customers, even if you're not on the Dataedo plan, we can cut significant discounts to make sure that you're able to take advantage of that. So even if the website pricing doesn't seem something in your budget, we can always work with you, especially for legacy customers.
Sven Hendrik commented that our APIs offer open API, but they are more like data processors that create data lineage than tables. Yeah, well, in that case, the object will, like endpoints, will all be logged as a table. And the lineage, we will not be able to build automatically, because then we have to understand the code underneath, right? So it could be anything, right? Java, .NET, and C# or whatever. That's not something we can do. So you will be able to do that documented manually, that part manually. Or if there's a way you can automate that somehow, export it to some format, which we can then help you upload, right? Yeah, and ArcGIS, Alexander comments that the ArcGIS geospatial, we don't support any geospatial databases right now. Yeah,
it's worth looking into.
Yeah. Yeah, you say that it will open new possibilities. I don't think we have ever asked about, well, I think we have, but not very often. We don't know that much about GIS databases, so really hard to tell what the need there is and what we can do. But yeah, we can have a look. I'll raise it on our weekly meta team meetings. Sven Hendrik, it would be good to meet with Richard. Richard could invite someone from our meta team, and we can see what we can do, right? Because that's an interesting case for us, since we've been asked about APIs a lot, and we just found a way recently how to implement it. So maybe we can find some other way to automate the lineage.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Any other questions?
While we wait for any potential final questions, maybe we can go to the last slide. So this is a great resource for contacts, and you also you'll have the recording of this. So if you need to refer back to this slide, you have that. But as always, Richard's a great contact. But if you completely lose all contacts, you can always go to our live chat on the website, and we'll point you in the right direction. Yeah, don't see any other questions. So as we wrap up here, keep an eye out. We also, worth mentioning, is Dataedo Talks. So I know Alexander and some others in here, Sven Hendrik, I believe you've been, but we do Dataedo Talks every other week, and it's a time for us to do a bit of training, have an open discussion, and then Piotr typically shares some information on things that we're working on, and usually it's more frequently and even a little more in depth than what we cover here. So again, we do those every other week.
Sven Hendrik, what's the technology you build the API with? Boomi. Okay.
Boomi.
That's
Okay,
an ETL. Okay. All right. We'll have a look. It's not the first time that Boomi was mentioned.
And Sven Hendrik also said, or application integration tool.
Yeah. So something like Kafka,
that was Boomi,
right?
you said that he. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll have a look at that. It's not the first time it was mentioned, so might be worth having a look.
Agreed. Well, cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and Piotr, thanks as always for walking us through things.
My pleasure. It was good to see you all.
Cool. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.